let's do this. So, welcome to Unplugged. Let us begin. Put your feet flat on the floor, if you can, if you're not driving. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and together let's just drop inward. Let the day begin to slip away. Let the hours begin to slip away. Let any stress that you've had throughout the day, just let it fall to the wayside. And find that place. Find that little flicker of a flame that exists just an inch or two below your belly button. If you can't find it, just imagine it being there. This is the root of your power, your sense of direction, your inherent strength. This is where truth lives. This is where we make our decisions from. Those gut decisions, that instinct. Dwell there for just a minute. If you're not driving, put your hand on your stomach down there. Let it relax, let it loosen. A tight stomach can't take in much information. But most of us walk around all day trying to prove we have abs, so we tighten our stomachs. Feel the expansion on the in-breath, the contraction on the out-breath. The depth in that space. Beautiful. Feel the power emanating from that space, down your legs, up your back, down your chest in a circular format, down your arms. Feel it filling your entire body. And even though we're calm, we have access to that power, access to that strength, access to that truth. No matter what you're going through, what condition you're in, you as a human still have access to that power. Take your other hand and place it on your heart. Feel your heart beating. These two areas work in conjunction. They want to work in conjunction. They want to be connected. And though so often we disconnect them. Power, love, strength, love, primal, divine. We separate them. Imagine the power of this team working together on your behalf first, and then on behalf of the greater good, emanating outward. Feel your stomach and feel your heart. Imagine if tomorrow morning when you wake up, You have access to both of these areas for the whole day. And if you're listening to this and it's not at night, imagine having access to this all day today. How different would your day be? How different would the next hour be? How different would the next year be? Let's take 3 more breaths with our hands in these areas. Letting go of anything that's going to keep us from being present on the call. Anything that's going to keep us from having an open mind, an open belly, and an open heart. You can put your hands down. Come back into your senses, into the room. You can wiggle your fingers and toes. Start to move your arms a little bit, rotate your shoulders back. And then on your own timing, feel free to slowly begin to open your eyes. Welcome back. How'd you do?
Pretty good.
Yeah? Yeah. That's meditation. You did it. Your diary, January 24th, 2019.
Steve did it too, right next to me.
Beautiful.
He's ready to go to sleep now.
I'm done now. Here we go. That was great, you guys. Have a great night. We got the cat to meditate. Beautiful. So again, welcome to Uncivilized Unplugged. I believe that we were just voted the #1 live podcast in the world.
Yay.
By my buddy Drew. Yeah. I should add that, by my friend. So we're doing great things here. And I want to tell you guys about last summer? It was a couple months into the year where I now knew that the direction I was going was uncivilized, and that there was content going out, there was controversial content going out, there was a following of men coming together. This thing had some legs. And I woke up to a text from a young woman who I had dated a couple months before, or gone out with a couple months before. And it simply said, "I'm going to ruin you." Oh, wow. Okay, this is exciting. Happy Wednesday to me. And she was unhappy with how our relationship ended, and then proceeded to send me a series of photos of me that I had sent to her, and a number of the conversations that we had had back and forth. And if you were on last week when I talked to Noah and mentioned that I have been a participant in the BDSM world for a while, our conversations would not have been viewed all that well by people who don't know that world, who don't know me, who don't understand the dynamics in a situation like that they all are consensual, even though we speak about and act in ways that could be upsetting. And I had the blood drain out of my face. And I went, oh, fuck. And went through the process with a bunch of people who were like, I wouldn't really worry about it. Most people know this about you. And someone else was like, you're kind of single in Los Angeles back about 10 years ago. Most of Los Angeles has seen you naked. Is this really going to affect your mission and your movement and what you're doing that much if it does get out? And that was really, my concern wasn't so much like, okay, cool. Someone's going to see what I look like in a full state of arousal. I was actually like, cool, that'll up ratings. What I was worried about and felt awful about was the lack of control. It was that suddenly someone had something and had the ability to perhaps manipulate my life in ways that I couldn't control. And I finally told her, go for it. It's going to, like, that was, I went back to what Gavin DeBecker had taught me 20 years ago with blackmail, which is if you can live with the consequences, just tell them to do it. And what do you know? You suddenly take all the power away.
Yeah,
it takes the power away.
And truly what you're talking about is an epidemic. It goes down as revenge porn. Women are most typically, of course, the victims of it. And
Sure.
there's a huge battle against it. Actually, it's centered right here in Youngstown, Ohio. There's a woman who started a group called Badass, and it's amazing how this can happen to anybody. You don't even have to have compromising pictures out there.
Yeah.
Because there are, of course, websites where people can go on and Photoshop any body to a face, and it's very realistic, and then put it out there and say, yeah, this is, this is my ex-girlfriend, and this is what she usually, does, and you don't have control over it, and it is a huge problem. And I think
Kylie, can I, before you go on, let me introduce our guests for tonight. For those of you that don't know Catherine Bosley, ladies and gentlemen, Catherine Bosley, before we jump into revenge and everything we just did, would you mind giving people a 2-3 minute rundown on who you are, what you're doing, and why you're here this evening?
Sure. I am a television news anchor reporter. I've been for 30 years on a full-time basis. And I recently kind of stepped away from it. I do it on a freelance basis now because I had a situation happen to me back in 2003, 2004, which I was able to rise above. But now I want to go back and I want to embrace that situation because I see that the story I have from back then is more relevant today than ever. What happened in a nutshell is I had survived 2 life-threatening illnesses in a matter of only a couple of years.
Which is crazy to itself.
It is crazy. I'm 31 years old. Suddenly it was discovered I had a bad heart. I was born with a bad heart. Cracking my chest open, I have open heart surgery. And then a couple of years after that, I come down with a lung illness. That is actually more serious than the heart disease. So I'm in the hospital going from running a marathon to celebrating my open heart surgery to running a marathon to realizing that I have this lung illness in a hospital bed and unable to speak without breathing treatments and told, we don't know if you're going to live or not. Basically.
What was the time frame in between the two?
It was about 3 years.
Okay. Wow.
So yeah, and my husband and I we'd been married not even a year. And so we went through about 3 months of truly thinking the worst could happen with the lung disease. So when we finally got word that I was going to live, he and I decided we were going to celebrate our 1-year anniversary and we're going to celebrate living. I mean, I was really in a mindset of being sick from the heart disease and the lung disease. When we go to Key West, I'm still on plenty of medication and I break loose, I cut loose. And so compromising pictures of me were taken in Key West. And this was back in 2003. Again, we had cell phones that took pictures, but no one really knew what to do with those pictures on our cell phones, right? So we felt bad about it immediately after and left it in Key West thinking that's okay. We learned our lesson, never going to cut loose like that again. It was very out of character. And then a year later, about 9 to 10 months later, on Christmas Day, we retrieve a phone message that's a woman saying, hey, you prissy little bitch, your days are over. Video of you from Girls Gone Wild is all over town. It's playing at this bar and this bar. Have a very Merry Christmas. Apparently, there were a couple of professional companies there, similar to Girls Gone Wild, that recorded that night. And somehow someone back here in Youngstown recognized the video or the pictures online where it was being sold actually and going from website to website, and brought that to everybody's attention. So I lost my job. Can
I jump in real quick and just ask? I watched your talk and I've heard that message multiple times because it gives me such a chill.
It is chilling.
It's laced with so much evil and like negative. It's just like, oh, I wanted to go shower after.
Right. I don't know who made that phone call. I still don't know who made that phone call, and I don't really know if I want to. I kind of feel bad for her now. Back then, though, I was terrified of her and terrified of the whole situation.
So when you hit play, can you just walk us through the feeling aspect of it?
Well, I wish we could actually play the audio from that, but she says, hi, Catherine. and Rick, my husband's name. So I kind of feel like it's someone who knew us. Or should I say Kathy from Kent?
Mm.
When we were out there in Key West, I said I went to Kent State University. My name was Kathy from Kent. And I'm thinking, oh, you know, she sounded happy at first. She was real jovial. I'm like, okay, who is this and what kind of game are we playing here? Just want to let you know the video from Girls Gone Wild has been released. I'm thinking, well, I don't know about Girls Gone Wild. And then she mentions Key West. And my heart drops. It was on Christmas Day, too. We were expecting a house full of guests. We were celebrating because the year before that, I was suffering from the lung disease. So it was supposed to be such a special Christmas.
Do you mind if I play it?
Oh,
I have
no.
your TED Talk queued up. So I'm going to try to do this and see.
Okay.
Just my technology skills aren't that amazing.
Yeah, because you really have to hear her to get an understanding of what we're talking about.
It's so fucking chilling. Here we go. Can you guys see this? Yeah? And let me unmute it. You ready for a little evil? I hope we find this person. I'd love to find her for you on your behalf.
Yeah, we can't hear the audio.
You can't hear the audio.
No.
That was awesome. Well, I'm gonna fire my interns. Sorry about that. That's I heard it and it still made me nuts. I'm not sure how we do that. So, Catherine, you want to play it on a?
I kind of do. I've got it.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Sorry about that, gang.
If we go into my TEDx, you'll just hear the audio.
Yeah, it's so chilling. Like from the first moment, she's taking so much pleasure in that call. That's what was so upsetting, and another woman doing it as well.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Here we go. All right, gang.
There's a message on our answering machine. Maybe it's someone calling to wish us a Merry Christmas. I can't wait to hit play.
Hey, Rick and Catherine, or should I say Rick and Kathy from Kent. Just want to let you know that the video from Girls Gone Wild has hit the Youngstown area. You are being shown Catherine or Kathy from Kent, as you know. I guess that's your stage name. It's being shown from everywhere from channel to bars and grill. Everyone's seen you in your full attire. Honey, your days are over. You think you're such a prissy little bitch, but your days are over. Have a very Merry Christmas.
Even 15 years later.
Whoo!
Yeah.
Anybody else get a chill run down their spine and just leave me alone in an elevator with her for like 50. I know we're not supposed to say mean things on the show, but
no, I mean
I would have strong words for her. Yeah. Okay. Tell me about that moment, please.
Right. Well, truly, heart sank, panic set in.
Yeah.
And my husband was cooking Christmas dinner with my stepdaughters in the kitchen, and I had the phone to my ear, and I'm trying to tell him to come here, listen to this, and I play it for him again, hoping that there's something that comes across his face that says, "Oh, it's no big deal," but terror came across his face too.
Yeah.
So, it was something I'll never forget.
Oh wow. Oh.
So and it's everything is that whole night was just taken out of context.
Yeah. I bet.
Silliness and
what's the very first thing you do when the tape stops? Like, is there a scramble to try to contain? Like, what's the moment?
Try to find someone to tell me this isn't happening.
Oh wow.
That's what it was. And on Christmas, there's just not much I can do. There's no phone calls. There's nowhere I can go to get some kind of reprieve. That just the rest of the night goes on. And as people came to our house, there were a couple people I let listen to the message, And everybody's reaction was pretty much the same, like, oh my goodness, don't know what you're going to do now. So all I can think of is I want this to go away. I mean, if there's video of that night, and truly it's a little, it's a wet t-shirt contest. It was silly. It was my husband was in the audience. It was him and I'm watching him. It was, should have never done it. I know, I get that. But we should have been able to leave it there. And I should have been more knowledgeable about how the world was turning digital back then. So,
but no one was to know, right? I know you may feel that in hindsight, but it's like you're really just saying, I should have been able to predict the future.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's who knew this would, how many women were at that night that didn't have their lives, that aren't now sitting here talking to handsome bald guys about their experience.
Yeah.
Right?
And
everybody else there. Yeah, and they did crazier stuff.
I mean, I always did. When I was in college, in high school, I would have thrown my nose up to something like that, saying, "Oh, how could anybody do anything like that?" You know.
Right. And
things change. Your life changes. Your experiences change you and change your outlook. And I've never cut loose in my life. I've always done what I was supposed to. It was the moment I just kind of stepped out of character. So, no excuses, but it was. So I was thinking, well, I think if to make this go away, I need to quit my job, because I was a television news anchor in this little young Ohio. If I just quit my job, maybe it will just go away. And so next day I went into work and I told my boss, and he says, "We've heard about it. We were hoping it would go away. We were hoping it didn't really happen." So I went in to quit, and he says, "No, don't quit. We're gonna take a few days off. We'll figure out what we can do about this."
Yeah.
A week or so goes by, and we're scrambling to think about ways to get through this. Should we, fessing up is ultimately, I think it's the best thing.
Yeah.
So I was willing to let's do it as a story then, and see what the viewers want.
Yeah.
Or let me work behind the scenes or something like that. And so the longer it went on, the more like, I don't want to try to lose my career over all this. Then I got the phone call that basically said, "We need your resignation now. You're done." So.
Wow. And it was under what grounds? Like, is their conduct non-becoming for a news anchor?
We have contracts that are basically say, there's moral clauses in those contracts. I don't know how much you can prove that I actually broke a clause, but it was fine, because truly I didn't want to hurt the station.
Right.
And I felt like I was probably hurting the station by saying that. So fast forward, we tried to, I tried to get work in other places in television, but it was catching up with me. And I got a phone call from a local radio station that heard about it, and I worked with these guys before, and they said, "Do you want to come and explain what's going on?" Wow. And it's like, yes, I do. I need to come, and I need to explain the whole thing. And let me tell you that people were awesome. We're awesome in understanding. And so many people say, if a camera was on me many times, I would have been in big trouble too. So we all make mistakes, right? We all make mistakes. Los
Angeles, for about a decade.
Right.
And actually, what are you guilty of? Having nipples? I think that may be what you're. I know for women that's like it's frowned upon for you to have them. It's getting better for you, but
a big part of the problem with that video was that I was uncomfortable at the very end, so I turned my back to the audience, and there was a camera that was low in the audience and got angles that were very violating. So that was
still, again, what have you done? Right? That, okay, great. We, I think if we're not going to have everybody do it on the call, do it. But I think if we all get undressed, half of us would look the same. The other half would too. And like, what have you done? That's, I know why there's how it was viewed, but again, it's this wild experience here in the US where we spend $7,000 trillion a year on pornography, and a nipple sends the country into an absolute fucking tizzy. right?
Right.
Or
I mean,
one,
it's so there's so much hypocrisy with the whole thing because
yeah,
you know we are sexy is supposed to be a good thing, but as soon as you act on that at all, then you're like, oh, what did you do?
yes. Well, for sexy for women, if you act on it,
Right.
we get a clear pass, and it's actually like a pat on the back and nice job.
True. True.
Tell me, so this snowballs into. You said there are people who are great, but I imagine you're also getting some real negativity and some crap.
Well, before I knew it, I was getting phone calls from Oprah, from Good Morning America, from the O'Reilly Factor, from Inside Edition, all these national shows wanted me to come share my shame. And I just wanted to hide away from the world at that time. I did a couple of them. I did an interview with Good Morning America and kind of had no choice but to go on Inside Edition. Again, people were great, but also now the trollers, I guess we call them today, started to attack. And my story went from one website to another website to another website. And with every posting about me, the comments poured in literally by the hundreds every day. And although most of them were kind and supportive, there were so many that said I was stupid and ugly and had no reason to live. And there's something about comments like that. There's something about, I think, just the human spirit that just goes right to those comments. And I focused on that. And so I became suicidal. My plan, as I say in my TED Talk, was in that bottom drawer where we kept leftover prescription pain medication. And that seemed to be my only out. So, so it was quite the journey.
I would love for people listening to this to understand the power of a single comment on the internet.
No, right.
Where we tell people, like, it doesn't matter, it's not real. But I've read them. I've gotten the emails, the negative, and it's for a day. You go, I don't even know who this is. Or it's a 14-year-old kid in his mom's basement commenting on a YouTube, whatever. It's irrelevant. But when you get it, it actually does pierce. It actually does infiltrate, penetrate, and hurt. And I hope people get that.
Right. Well, even the psychologists don't quite get that.
Right.
It's still something, and this is why, so many, we are hearing so often about these kids killing themselves because they're being bullied online. All it takes is, like you said, seeing a single negative thing written about you for some reason on one of those digital devices. There's just something different about it. It's brainwashing and it's tormenting.
Yeah. How did you, so this is clearly a hero's journey. I mean, it's just classic, like you're hitting the swoop of it all. There was a status quo, there was an inciting incident, there was a journey, there was a low point. Tell us about the day you woke up and went, I'm going to fuck some shit up.
Oh, well, I was pretty sure I was going to die, and I at my own hands. And then this one time I'm driving down the street and it's snowy and icy and I lose control of my car. And it starts getting out of control terribly, and it was a rag top, and it was starting to go down into the median, which would be downhill, and if it went down there, it would flip over, and I was going to die for sure that way. And I didn't, I guess it was kind of like a wow moment of when the car was spinning, and I knew if I didn't die going down into that median, I was going to die facing oncoming traffic. And it was like so fast but slow motion, and then the car just stopped. I mean, it's like God just put his hand on the top of the car and stopped it and said, see, you don't want to die. And that I put down as my moment where I'm like, I don't want to die. I've got to find myself again. I can't let this ruin me. And so it got to the point where I was being harassed so much that we turned to a lawyer to see what we could do. And it turned out we had grounds. We had 3 federal lawsuits. One of them, I was able to gain the copyright ownership to all of those pictures from Key West. So that kind of gave me at least legal means to stop the dissemination. It's never going to completely come off the internet, but we have lawyers that are we have a company that is always scanning the internet to see where those pictures are, who's putting them up, and then our lawyer sends them cease and desist letters. So we did 3 federal lawsuits. One was to get ownership of those pictures. The second was when we found out another television station, some of the reporters, some of people at another television station appeared to be handing out these videos.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah, that was
Lovely.
interesting. And then the last lawsuit was Larry Flint decided to use one of my pictures in his Hustler magazine, and so it was years of things being so very surreal. In the meantime, though, a television station in Cleveland, much bigger than Youngstown, gave me a second chance. They did a story on me, and the news director said he saw something in me, and he gave me a second chance. So I worked my way right back up, but it was a hard way to work up because you feel like you're only there because there are naked pictures of you, and you wonder what your colleagues are, how your colleagues who worked their way up there the traditional way are thinking about the whole thing. But everybody has been, they were all fantastic. And you know, you start to get your life back one little step, one little choice at a time, and rise above it, and just take a breath and realize what the heck you just went through. I mean, even though it was years in the making, it was a heck of a story.
Where do you, I have two questions that are burning on my tongue. Where do you draw your strength from? Because you went through 2 near-death illnesses, a public scandal, and then a car accident that almost killed you. Where does this all come from? And 2, how do you feel about humanity? How do you feel about people? Has this jaded you at all? I mean, just if I go on YouTube for an hour, I'm like, oh, we're doomed. Humans are like,
I think it's done the opposite, actually.
Oh,
of
wow.
course, I was jaded for a while because, as far as I was concerned, everybody had seen those pictures and everybody thought I was awful. But again, you're kind of, that's what you focus on is the negative. But then as you kind of turn around, you start to really hear the positive, and you start to change your focus onto the positive. And people really have been so great about this and so supportive. You know, there was one time a woman I was in a ball cap, sweats in the grocery store, going just to get on a milk run, and some woman just came up and hugged me.
Oh.
I didn't think much about it back then. I mean, it was nice, but now I look back and I'm like, thank you. And then another time I was driving through fast food to grab a Diet Coke, and the woman in front of me, apparently she recognized me in her rearview mirror, and she bought my order for me. So those little things like that, just they start to pile up, and start to realize that really I think people are good and are kind, and people say so many thoughtful things after I put my TEDx out, especially the thoughtful things that people have put out. I mean, it really sends me into tears of gratitude and joy. Right.
Beautiful. And where does this inner strength for you come from?
You know, I just chalk it down to faith, for sure.
To your faith in God.
My faith in God. Yeah. My faith,
Beautiful.
family, and friends. I mean, the 3 big F's in my life. You just absolutely to the rescue. And we couldn't go to church during this because it was all over town. So I was too ashamed. We were too ashamed. We actually stayed holed up in our house most of that winter, so we couldn't even go to church. But we did find a couple of preachers on TV and online that kind of got us through.
And you think the safe place for you would be church, right?
And I mean, that was just my thinking, and I should have gone to church because when we finally did go back, we were embraced.
Beautiful. So TEDx, when did you get the call? Was it something you were waiting for? Was this a message you wanted to put out, or was this sure? Can you talk us a little bit about that?
I wanted to. So when I got back into TV and I got my life back together, I remember back in the middle of the nightmare, promising God, if I could get through this alive, I will make it count. So I got back, I survived, I was safe, and you know, I'd climb up on that anchor desk day after day, I'd go reporting, I'd do back to my life, but there was something nagging at me because it's like, I got this, but I made that promise back then that I would make it count. And then more and more we're doing stories about people killing themselves because they're being bullied. And it just kind of started to nag me so much that I just needed to do this. So I was starting to write my book years ago, and my last contract with my station in Cleveland was coming up, and it was just time to think about doing something different.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get the book going, and I wanted to get my message out, and I started to get addicted to the TEDx's. And when the TEDx was advertising, looking for speakers here in Youngstown to apply, I'm like, this is absolutely my opportunity to do it. So hopefully
Beautiful.
we'll push the book along as well.
Yeah, and for people who haven't seen your TEDx talk, what's the name of it?
It is called My Naked Nightmare.
I love it.
A lesson in surviving humiliation.
Ooh. And so right now your mission has changed.
It has.
It's focused on online bullying. Is that correct?
It's focusing on making sure, on online bullying, on any kind of bullying or humiliation. Number one, to understand that today nothing is for the moment anymore. There are cameras on us all the time, everywhere we go. Sometimes even in our own house, if we have people taking friends over, taking pictures or videos, everything you do, you've got to think about now. So there is no more time for a what was I thinking moment before, as I say in my TED Talk, it becomes attached to you for all to see forever. So we need to be more mindful of the choices we make, online and off.
Right.
And also, I want to be an example that there is life after being shamed or bullied or humiliated online or off. Everything for the moment, and we will get past it and we will get stronger. And it's so important to find the strength in going through these things. Find your own inner strength. I mean, you rise through things one choice at a time. And I just want people to know who feel like they're so alone and they're being attacked anywhere, but especially online again, that this too shall pass. It's for the moment. Use your strength. Use your mind to learn from this.
Wow. Whew.
Yeah, that's where I am with that.
Yeah, I think you just dropped the mic on everybody. Do you see online bullying? Like Michelle asked me today in a prior interview or on the interview, like, do you have faith in humanity? And I was like, I'm an optimist by nature, but I don't know.
I believe it seems like there are so many people who are
getting worse or getting better.
I don't think bullying is going to go away. I mean, bullying is it's just morphed into, from the schoolyard to the internet. And I applaud the many groups that are trying to eradicate cyberbullying. I don't think it's ever going to happen. Hopefully they are keeping it a little bit more at bay. But so that's why I want to say, if you're bullied, this is what I have for you to get through it. But I think that what we see as far as bullies online it's the minority of humankind, of mankind. I truly believe it. It's just that they seem so big because they're online.
Right.
When your world is so involved with having your head on your laptop, it does seem like the whole world, but it's not. I truly believe that it's the minority of people who want to say things mean and do the wrong thing.
And have now the anonymity to hide behind. That, at least on the schoolyard, there was some kind of accountability of, you may get punched in the face for saying this or kicked in the shins. And now it's a much different world that we do live in. Here's the shittiest question I can ask you. So I'm going to ask you, if you could go back and undo it, would you?
Yeah, I know. And that's the question that just drives me crazy, because I would say at this point, no, I wouldn't go back and undo it, because now I am left with something, with a platform and with a voice that might be able to help others that I wouldn't have had otherwise. Wow. And this kind of help is needed out there. The only reason I might say I would undo it is because of all the hurt that it caused my family and friends. I think because they just didn't know what to do for me. And it hurts to see me, like anyone when it's someone you love, it's all different. Come after me, I don't care. But if you go after someone I love, now we're really talking about something serious. If I could undo it for my family and friends, I would.
Of course. And that's so common with something like a dark night of the soul, where you think you're actually in the darkness alone, but it is a lot of people are coming with you, unfortunately, if they do care about you and do support you.
Right.
But yet the other side, tell us a bit about the logistics of the platform you've built, and exactly, do you want to speak to a certain demographic? Do you want to speak more to kids than to adults? Do you find there's a demographic that's getting bullied more than another?
Well, I really want to reach out to kids, college kids, spring break, Key West, wherever they go, whatever they're doing, because that's where you can, I think, nip it in the bud, to make sure that they understand what they're doing. Cutting loose, being kids, living life like we used to is dangerous now. And you've got to think. Anytime you hear that little voice inside your head that says, maybe I shouldn't do this, you gotta listen to that voice now. So that's the main target audience that I want. But also, I'm interested in parents for sure, because they need to get the message through to them about, number one, their children's activity, digital activity, but number two, how to recognize when they're starting to go through something that is serious that way, and how to handle it. Some of the steps to go through to handle it. I narrow it down to something called pact. You make a pact with yourself when you find yourself the target of humiliation. And pact means peace, and go to your people, let people know, because too often people who are being bullied will retract. So you've got to go to the people who you love and trust. A is for abandon haters and temptations online and off. C is to connect with professionals for help when you need it. And T is to remember, this too shall pass. So trying to get that message out. There's so many different groups that you can try to get that message out to. Even companies, they don't realize that often there's cyberbullying and bullying going on among employees. So I would love to raise the flag up to them. Say, this is what you need to watch for, and this is the information that you need to get out to your employees about how painful it is to be making fun of the girl over there in the other cubicle amongst yourselves, and you don't know what you're doing. You don't understand the power of what you're doing. So so there's several groups that I would certainly like to get my message out to.
If it was possible for anybody listening to this to support you by connecting you with an organization or a group, or what's your dream? Like, let's throw it out there. Who do you want to be talking to, and who do you want to find you to help you?
Yeah, college kids. Any kind of a college organization, student organization. A lot of times the students are the ones who decide who's going to come and speak on their campus.
Okay.
So that would be number one for me at this point. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody listening to this, help a sister out.
Yeah.
And my listeners tend to be badasses, so they're also very well connected. So I imagine, and that will lead right into, where can people get more of you, more information about you, connect with you? Where are you hanging out? Where are you online, off? Please, how can we find out more about you?
CatherineBosley.com. I've got a new website I'm so excited about.
Can you spell that for everybody, since people will be listening?
Sure. Yeah, Catherine with a C, CATHERINE, Bosley, like Tom Bosley, BOSLEY.
Beautiful.
Yeah, CatherineBosley.com. Of course, I'm on Facebook under that name. I'm Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm all over the place too. So please reach out. Please, I'd be glad to continue the discussion. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Does anybody have a question? I don't know if you can see this, Catherine, but we've got some people have chimed in on the chat. And now I do. I'm sorry. I wasn't ignoring anybody. I just did not see it. It just came up now.
It's okay. So does anyone have a question? First of all, feel free just to raise your hand and I'll unmute you. If not, just know, Catherine, that you've had an immense effect on everybody listening, people who are going to be listening to this later.
Thank you.
And I cannot imagine the amount of strength and courage you have. And please know that it is seen and it is recognized, and I would just love to acknowledge you for it. And the fact that you have taken something that dark and now are going to literally save people's lives with it.
I sure hope.
You are. I have this much doubt, that's a big fat goose egg. I know you are. I absolutely know you are. And you don't know the people who don't contact you. That's something I've learned from being in this world.
Right.
Know the people who do say that was super helpful, or your talk saved my life. You don't know how many people have seen that and have decided.
One guy from high school, he messaged me through Facebook. He says, "Oh my gosh, my daughter, she's being bullied online and off, and she watched your talk, and all of a sudden it's like a light went off, and her whole attitude has changed." Even if it's just that, I mean, it was glorious to me, because it's what I was hoping for years, to just hear someone say something a little bit like that.
It's going to spread like wildfire. I guarantee you, like, given the size of the opening for it, right? Like, just how big the space is of online bullying and online shaming, and this, I don't see it getting a lot better given the proliferation of technology.
Right.
And people's addiction to it. And, you know, as you said, everything's recorded. And it's just, I think societally, we've lost a little bit of our humanity. And empathy has gone slightly out the window. And it's so easy for an us versus them scenario. It's so easy for just division, right? And divisiveness. And it seems to be the direction we're going. So thank you so much for sharing this, for sharing your story at TED.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
It has been my pleasure. For those of you listening who are more interested in Man Uncivilized and the Uncivilized Nation and what I'm doing, please follow me at Instagram at Traverboehm, TraverBoehm. Someone throw something did you throw something in the chat, Vanessa? And if not, www.manuncivilized.com. And these things are going to be showing up. I think next week we have one of our listeners tonight talking about forgiveness and getting some law enforcement guys on. And thank you guys all for giving up your time and for listening and supporting me, supporting the show, and supporting Catherine. Let's get Catherine on stages in a college. That will, I want a Man Uncivilized t-shirt under whatever gorgeous thing you have on. But a t-shirt on you while you're on a college campus saving someone's life.
Oh.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Thank you so much for your time. Catherine, again, you are just a fucking badass, and you are the epitome of uncivilized. So thank you so much for coming on.
Takes Cheers, one everybody. To know one, my friend. All right.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.